It's another edition of Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the films of July 9th, 2004. We have three movies to look at in general here. I almost said three comedies, which is not the case, but we have three movies here. Two of them are comedies. One is a forgettable one, and the other is another great comedy from the year 2004. And let's go ahead and start with that one because that is the biggest new release of the weekend. Will Ferrell starring in Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. 2004, man, was just such a good year for comedy. I just realized that now. We've talked about some really good ones that have come out of this year. You know, Napoleon Dynamite, Dodgeball, Envy, Starsky and Hutch, and now this movie, Anchorman: The Legend of Ron Burgundy, which is pretty much what you think it is when you see the trailer for it. It's a tongue-in-cheek take on the culture of the 1970s, particularly the new action news format that was going on in the world of television at this time. This was still when television was still very much in its infancy. And you have Ron Burgundy as a San Diego television station personality, Ron Burgundy, where his character clashes with the new female anchor, Christina Applegate, playing the character there. You also have a cast that includes a ton of talent all around. Paul Rudd, Steve Carell, David Koechner, Fred Willard, and that's just the main cast of characters. I mean, we haven't even talked about people like Chris Parnell, Catherine Hahn, Fred Armisen, Vince Vaughn, Jerry Minor, Laura Keitlinger, Danny Trejo, Jack Black, Judd Apatow, just a phenomenal cast in this movie, and this is really one of the funniest comedies ever made. I mean, this is Will Ferrell's magnum opus for me in terms of his comedies in general. You know, there's that legacy of people that like Talladega Nights. There's that people that like Step Brothers. This is the topper for me. Will Ferrell and Adam McKay doing this movie. Just a great movie. The line readings in this movie are absolutely hilarious. Some of the funniest moments in movie history are in this film. Some great random lines, like one of my favorite obscure lines are in this movie where, you know, Christina Applegate's going into Fred Willard's office and asking about, you know, where's her office at, and, you know, and then Will Ferrell's just all of a sudden on the word goes, "You're gonna use my office and then maybe we can go to lunch," and then there's just this silence, and then Fred Willard goes like, "Lower your voice, Ron." Like, jokes like that are all throughout this movie, and it's absolutely hilarious. Like, scenes will just start normally and then just go into this random area where you can't help but just laugh your ass off. I mean, there's one scene in particular where Will Ferrell's talking about what he loves about what's love about, and all of a sudden they just start going into Afternoon Delight. They all start singing Afternoon Delight, and it's just like, it's completely random, it's completely out of nowhere, but you know what? These guys are singing the crap out of that song, and it's a pretty damn good cover of it. I mean, there's not much more I can really say about this movie, man. This is a film that's just so brilliantly funny, so stupidly clever. It's just an absolute masterpiece of a comedy, just one of the best comedies ever made. This is one I always go back to. A freaking phenomenal movie, man. I love this movie so much. I love the sequel, too. Anchorman: The Legend Continues, but yeah, most people don't realize that there was also a direct-to-video DVD movie made. That's not even a sequel. It's just they filmed so much stuff from this movie. There was a lot of outtakes, additional subplots. They just decided, screw it, we're going to make it its own movie. And when this came out on DVD for the first time, they actually made it into its own movie. Wake Up Ron Burgundy, The Lost Movie, which is one I haven't seen in a long time. I don't remember it being that good, but maybe when we get to the 2004 leftovers, it'll be one I'll bring up later on down the road. But this one's a comedy classic, man. I can't really say too much more about this one, hasn't already been said. Anchorman: The Legend of Ron Burgundy. It's Will Ferrell and Adam McKay's magnum opus to me. This is their best movie that they've made. I can't recommend it enough. It's one of the funniest comedies ever made. So, that's Anchorman. Let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Clive Owen starring as King Arthur. The craziest thing about this movie is I did not know who directed this until I saw who did it at the end, and that was Anton Fuqua, who was a great director overall. We talked about some of his movies before. Training Day, in particular, I think was the film that he made before this. No, it was Tears from the Sun. Yeah, Tears of the Sun is what I was thinking of, but Training Day is his magnum opus, and so this is the second film. This is his second film after that, Training Day. And you could pretty much tell what they were trying to do with this. They were trying to make this the next Pirates of the Caribbean. Let's overhype the fact that it's produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, who produced Pirates of the Caribbean. Let's get Keira Knightley back for this one, which is funny that they actually did. Supposedly, they digitally enhanced Keira Knightley's boobs on the cover, on the poster for this movie. I don't know. I don't really see it from this particular poster I'm looking at here on Wikipedia, but let me see if I can see if there's a difference on IMDb. See, it's not noticeable at first, but then when you actually look at the picture, yeah, they photoshopped that to hell, and it just, yeah, you can pretty much tell who they were trying to aim that towards. And also, you have the writer of Gladiator, David Franzoni, who of course, was nominated for an Oscar for writing Gladiator here. So, and not only that, you have Clive Owen, Ioan Gruffudd, Keira Knightley, Mads Mikkelsen, Joel Edgerton, Hugh Dancy, Ray Winstone, Ray Stevenson, Stephen Delane, Stellan Skarsgård, and Till Schreiber. They stacked the cast for this movie, but if they were really hoping that this was going to be the next Pirates of the Caribbean, they had another thing coming because, yeah, this is about as chaotic of a film as you can get. It's unusual in reinterpreting Arthur as a Roman officer rather than the typical medieval knight, and what's notable about this is that the producers of the film attempted to market it as a more historically accurate version of the Arthurian legends, but that's not what the film that Antoine Fuqua signed up for. In fact, Antoine Fuqua later on said down the road, when I first signed on to the movie, I wanted to shoot an R-rated movie, and then halfway through it, that changed for all sorts of reasons. Obviously, it's always money. That was very difficult for me, and I had a tough time adjusting to that. I had to change a lot of my shooting style that I had set up because it just wasn't possible to do certain things to get a PG-13 rating. Just because it would have been more graphic. Like I said, tonally, it would have been a different mindset. So once that happened when I was filming, it made it difficult. Gee, I wonder what happened in between the shooting of this movie. Something I mentioned before, Pirates of the Caribbean happened. I mean, that's got to be the reason why they changed it around here. And it would have helped in the long run if the movie was actually good or engaging or actually had a purpose to it. I mean, when you watch this movie, man, like, yeah, it's slightly better than something like the Guy Ritchie King Arthur movie they made back in, 2017, which was absolutely horrible. But this film, it's just way too bleak, it's way too convoluted, it's way too complicated. It's kind of the equivalent to Attack of the Clones, where it's just nothing but dialogue, and they add in a whole lot of exposition instead of actually getting to the fighting. I mean, it's really not that great of a film, and it just wastes so many good people involved in here. And there's a director's cut of this movie out there, and while it's a little bit better, it's not enough for me to say that this is something that you need to see in the director's cut format. This is just a sloppy film that is bad from the get-go. It just had way too much going on behind the scenes. And there really could be a good movie made with a storyline here, and it just really isn't. And it's a shame because Antoine Fuqua deserves a lot better than a film like this in general. And you know, this was at a low point. This was at kind of a lull in his career when after Training Day he was getting these really lackluster films and really wouldn't do anything of noteworthiness again until around, you know, something like Brooklyn's Finest came out way down to the end of the decade. But yeah, not a great movie in general. A largely forgettable film. Just a really disappointing film in general. It's way too much going on, too bleak, not interesting whatsoever. Just not a great film in general. So, that's King Arthur. And let's go ahead and wrap this up with our last movie here, and that is the comedy Sleepover. Oh wow, it's Adventures in Babysitting meets Midnight Madness meets Superbad, except it's for the kids. How do you think that worked out? Not very well. You have a story about on the day of the last day of 8th grade before their freshman year in high school. Alexa Vega plays Julie, who has a slumber party with her 3 best friends, Hannah, Farrah, and Yancy, and they have the time of their lives. To win the legendary high school lunch spot by the fountain, they must win an all-night scavenger hunt against their popular girl rivals. Unfortunately, Julie's mom, played by Jane Lynch, has firm rules about the party. First rule, don't leave the house, but Julie and her friends won't let a little thing like parental authority stand in the way of social domination as they sneak out of the house, steal a car, snatch a cute boy's boxer shorts, crash a high school dance, torment an egomaniacal security guard played by Steve Carell. Along the way, some of the girls might just find love, because anything is possible at Julie's sleepover, and you really give a shit at this point. I mean, that's only a little bit of the snippets from this trailer that is just so obnoxious, it's so annoying. And when you watch the film itself, it's about as bad as generic as you can get. You got a lot of really good talent here. You know, this was Alexa Vega trying to follow up her success with Spy Kids, and didn't work out too well for her. It was a movie. It's a movie that really devoids anybody of true talent. There's a lot of good talent involved in here. Alexa Vega, Jane Lynch, Sarah Paxton, Brie Larson, Steve Carell, Jeff Garland, Sam Huntington, Evan Peters has one of his early film roles here. Scott Taylor Compton from the Halloween reboot, the Rob Zombie Halloween reboot. Yeah. Other than that, though, there's really nothing here. It's a lazy comedy that just is so downright trying to go for the lowest common denominator in a season where, the benefit to them was that they did not have a whole lot of family films to compete with that were going to be really compatible, but there's still many better options out there than this garbage right here. Like, nobody wanted to see this movie, and clearly nobody want to go see this movie because it only made back $10 million, which, even though that was its budget in general, you still aren't making a whole lot of money by making back just your budget in general, even if it's for a smaller film like this. Just a lazy film, just a really lackluster film, nothing funny, a waste of really good talent overall. Just not a good film. Not a good film whatsoever. Sleep over. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We'll head to the middle of July next with Will Smith starring in I, Robot. Hilary Duff helping to buck the family film trend we're on right now with the Cinderella story, with also Chad Michael Murray in it. Jeff Bridges and Kim Basinger in the drama The Door on the Floor, and Maria Full of Grace. So we'll take a look at those 4 movies all on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the plays on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So, with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.